Crazer opened his eyes to the orange sky of Terra 7. Pain shot through his body, then nothing. He could not feel his legs or his 4 arms. The battle had been fierce, and now he lay broken among the smoking ruins of war machines. His neural spine was severed by enemy fire. He was paralyzed. All around him, the sounds of the battlefield were fading. The roar of engines told him what he already knew. His people, the Vicarians, were leaving. They were leaving him behind. This was the way of his people. The weak did not survive. The injured were left behind. A warrior who could not fight was no warrior at all. Crazer had left others behind before. Now it was his turn to face death alone. The Vicarian ship rose into the sky, its massive shadow passing over Crazer one last time. He watched it go without anger. This was their way. This was how it had always been. Rain began to fall, mixing with the blood on his face. Crazer's battlesuit was damaged, but its systems would keep him alive for several more days. Long enough to feel the shame of his failure. Long enough to die slowly. An honorable death would have been quick in battle. This slow death was his punishment for being weak. Night fell on Terra 7. Strange animals called in the darkness. The planet's 3 moons rose one by one, casting silver light on the battlefield. Crazer tried to move, to reach for his weapon so he could end his life properly. But his arms would not obey him. He was trapped in his own body. Morning came. With red light and thick fog, Crazer's eyes were heavy. His breathing was shallow. Maybe death would come today. He almost wished for it. Then he heard it. Footsteps. Not the heavy march of Vicarian boots. Not the metal steps of enemy robots. These steps were light, careful. A shadow fell across his face. A strange creature looked down at him. It had only 2 arms and 2 legs. Its skin was a light brown color. No scales, no armor. Just soft skin and fabric coverings. Crazer had seen pictures of these beings in war briefings. A human. The human knelt beside him. It held a small device that made beeping sounds as it passed over Crazer's body. The human's face changed, showing what Crazer thought might be concern. This was strange. Why would an enemy be concerned? "You're still alive," the human said. Its voice was deeper than Crazer expected. A male, perhaps. "Don't worry, I'm going to help you." Help? The word made no sense to Crazer. Why would anyone help a fallen enemy? The human should kill him or leave him. That was how war worked. The human touched buttons on a small device on its wrist. Alan to base. I found a survivor. Vicarian warrior. Male. Critical condition. Severe spinal trauma. Request immediate medical transport. A voice answered from the device. "Alan, you know the rules. We're not supposed to interfere with the combatants." "He's paralyzed, Sam. They left him to die. That's not right." The human named Alan looked down at Crazer again. "I'm bringing him in. The commander won't like this. Then the commander can yell at me when I get back. Winter's out." Alan put down his pack and began to pull out medical supplies. Crazer tried to speak, but his translator was damaged. Only clicks and hisses came out. "Your translator's broken," Alan said. "But that's okay. You don't need to talk right now. Just try to stay awake." The human placed patches on Crazer's neck and chest. A cool feeling spread through his body, easing the pain. Alan then pulled out a larger device and placed it next to Crazer's head. "This is a neural stabilizer. It will help prevent further damage while we move you." The human worked quickly, his hands steady and sure. "My name is Alan Winters. I'm a field medic with the Earth Coalition Research Outpost. We're neutral in this war." Crazer could only watch as this strange being worked to save his life. It made no sense. In all his years as a warrior, he had never shown mercy to a fallen enemy. Such actions were seen as weak in Vicarian culture. Yet this human showed no fear or disgust as he treated a four-armed alien twice his size. Soon, a loud noise filled the air. A small transport ship landed nearby, stirring up dust and debris. Two more humans jumped out with a floating stretcher. "This is him?" asked a female human with short yellow hair. "Yes," Alan replied. "Spinal trauma. Can't move anything below the neck as far as I can tell." The woman whistled. "The commander is going to have your head for this, Alan." "Better then. Leaving him here to die, Judy." Alan began attaching monitoring devices to the stretcher. "Besides, think what we could learn about Vicarian physiology." The other human, a man with dark skin, shook his head. Always the scientist, even in a war. Zone. Together, the three humans carefully moved Krazer onto the stretcher. The pain returned briefly and faded as more medicine entered his system. They secured his large body with straps and raised the stretcher off the ground as they loaded him. Into the transport, Krazer caught a glimpse of the battlefield where his fellow warriors had left him to die. Now strangers' enemies were saving him. It violated everything he had been taught about the natural order of things. The inside of the human transport was small and cramped for a being of his size. Alan sat next to him, monitoring his vital signs on a small screen. Pulse is steady. Neural activity looks stable considering the damage, Alan said to the female pilot. "Let's get him back to base before his condition changes." The ship rose into the air with a gentle hum, so different from the powerful roar of Vicarian ships. Through the window, Krazer watched the battlefield grow smaller. His old life was down there, among the wreckage. What waited for him now? "You're going to be okay," Alan said, noticing Krazer's gaze. "I know you probably don't understand why we're helping you. Maybe you wouldn't do the same for us, but that's not how we do things." The human placed a warm hand on Krazer's armored shoulder. The gesture was so strange, so unexpected, that Krazer would have flinched if he could move. "That's not how humans do things," Alan continued. "We don't leave people behind. Not even alien warriors, who would probably kill us if they could." The transport ship flew toward a cluster of buildings in the distance. A human outpost, small, but well protected. As they approached, Krazer felt something he had not felt in many years. Not since he was a young warrior training fear, not fear of death. That was an old friend to any warrior. This was fear of the unknown. What would these humans do with him? What did they want? And why did they care if he lived or died? The transport landed on a pad near a white building marked with red symbols. Medical symbols, Krazer realized. They were taking him to their healers' as the door opened and more humans gathered around his stretcher. Krazer looked at Alan. The human medics smiled at him, a gesture Krazer recognized from briefings on human behavior. It was meant to show friendliness or reassurance. "Welcome to your second chance at life," Alan said. "It's going to be very different from your first one." The stretcher floated out of the ship and into the bright lights of the human medical facility. Krazer, once the pride of the Vicarian battle fleet, was now completely at the mercy of these strange two-armed beings. Beings who saved those who could not save themselves. Beings who helped their enemies. Humans. The lights in the human medical room were too bright for Krazer's eyes. He blinked slowly as doctors moved around him. Their voices were quick and excited. They had never treated a Vicarian before. "His anatomy is fascinating," said a female human with dark hair. She wore a white coat and looked at screens showing images of Krazer's body. 4 separate nerve bundles for each arm, and a neural spine unlike anything I've seen before. "Can you fix him, Dr. Martinez?" Alan asked. He stood nearby, watching. Carefully, the doctor frowned. "I don't know. The damage is severe." In a human, this kind of injury would be permanent without advanced neural implants. Krazer understood their words now. Someone had fixed his translator. He tried to speak, and this time sounds came out. Why ... help ... enemy. His voice was rough and mechanical through the translator. The humans turned to look at him, surprised. That he could speak. You're awake, Dr. Martinez said. Good. How do you feel? Feel nothing. Body dead. Why not let me die? Alan stepped closer. Because that's not what we do. We help people who need help. Not people. Vicarian. Enemy. Patient, Dr. Martinez corrected. Here, you're not an enemy. You're a patient. Krazer did not understand. In war, there were allies and enemies. These humans spoke as if there was a third option. The door opened, and a tall man with gray hair entered the room. He wore a uniform with symbols of rank. The other humans stood straighter when he entered. So this is our guest, the man said. He looked at Krazer with stern eyes. I'm Commander Steve Powell. You're in my outpost, Vicarian. My name. Krazer, he managed to say. Well, Krazer, you've put me in a difficult position. We're supposed to be neutral in this conflict. Taking in a wounded soldier from either side could be seen as taking sides. Dr. Martinez stepped forward. With respect, sir, he needs medical attention. We can't just... I know, Doctor. That's why he's still here, the commander sighed. But you should know that the Vicarian fleet has sent a message. They want to know why we picked up one of their fallen warriors. Krazer felt a cold feeling spread through his chest. They come ... to finish me. Alan looked confused. Finish you? Don't they want you back? No. Left behind. Weak die. Vicarian way. The humans exchanged glances. Commander Powell's face hardened. They abandoned you because you were injured? And now they're concerned because we helped you? The commander shook his head. Well, I've informed them that you're under our protection as a medical patient. They didn't like that answer. Dr. Martinez returned to the medical screens. We need to focus on treatment. His spinal damage is similar to what we've seen in human patients, but his neural pathways are more complex. Can you help him? Alan asked again. Maybe. We've been developing a neural interface system for human paralysis victims. We might be able to adapt it for his physiology. She looked at Krazer. But it would take time, and I can't promise success. Krazer was confused. These humans were willing to use valuable resources on an enemy who could no longer fight. It made no sense. Why try? Useless now. Alan frowned. You're not useless. Being a warrior isn't the only thing that gives life value. For Vicarian, it is. Krazer looked away. Better to die than live broken. Commander Powell studied him for a moment. That's your culture talking, not you. Give yourself time to see another way. The commander left, and the doctors continued their work. Days passed. Krazer was moved to a larger room where his massive body could fit more comfortably. Alan visited, often, talking to him about Earth and human ways. One day, a new human arrived. She was small with light brown hair and quick hands. She carried cases of equipment with her. Krazer, this is Dr. Linda Baker. Alan introduced her. She's our expert on neural interfaces. Linda nodded at him. I've been studying your scans. Your neural system is different from ours, but the basic principles should still apply. She opened her cases and showed him small devices with thin wires and glowing parts. This is an external neural bypass system. It can't repair your spine, but it might allow signals from your brain to reach your limbs through an artificial pathway. Krazer watched as she explained the technology. It seemed impossible that such small devices could make him move again. Has this worked for Vicarians before? He asked. No, you'll be the first, Linda admitted. But we've had success with humans who have similar injuries. Why do this for me? Linda paused her work. Because every sentient being deserves a chance to live a full life, and because we can learn from each other. She began to attach sensors to his head and neck, working carefully around his alien features. The process took hours, but Krazer did not complain. He had nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. Now, I want you to think about moving your upper right arm, Linda said when the system was ready. Don't try to force it. Just think about the movement. Krazer focused his mind. For weeks, his arms had been dead weight. He thought about lifting his arm, expected nothing to happen. The arm twitched. The movement was small, barely visible, but it was there. Linda smiled widely. It worked. The signal got through. She adjusted some settings on her device. Try. Again. This time, the arm moved more clearly. It rose a few inches off the bed before falling back. The movement was jerky and weak, but it was movement. Alan, who had been watching from the side, cheered. You did it, Linda. He moved. For the first time since his injury, Krazer felt something other than shame and confusion. Not hope vicariance. Did not believe in such things, but perhaps possibility. Linda spent the next few days improving the system. Each day, Krazer gained more control over his upper arms. The lower arms would come later, she promised, and eventually his legs. It will take time, she told him. Your brain needs to learn how to use the new pathways. But you're making excellent progress. One evening, as the outpost grew quiet, Alan came to visit. He sat beside Krazer's bed with a serious expression. There's something you should know, he said quietly. Your people have demanded that we return you to them. Krazer, newly recovered arm twitched. For what purpose? They say it's to provide proper Vicarian medical care. But given what you've told us about your culture... Alan didn't finish the sentence. They will not heal me. They will end me. Krazer looked at his arm, now able to move at his command. I do not wish to go. Alan nodded. Commander Powell has refused their demand. He says you're under our protection as a patient who has requested asylum. Asylum? It means you're asking us for protection and the right to stay here. Krazer had never imagined such a thing. Leaving his people, living among aliens. But the humans had shown him more care than his own kind. And your commander will face Vicarian anger for one broken warrior? Alan smiled. That's the human way, Krazer. We stand up for those who can't stand for themselves, even if it's difficult. For the first time, Krazer began to understand the strange strength of these humans. Not the strength of weapons or armies, but the strength of compassion. It was alien to him, yet somehow more powerful than anything he had known before. Then I will stay, Krazer said, and learn this human way. Weeks passed at the human outpost. Each day, Krazer worked with Linda and the medical team on his recovery. The neural interface system grew more complex as they added new connections. Now he could move all 4 of his arms, though the movements were still slow and shaky. Today we start on your legs, Linda said one morning. She carried new equipment to his room. If this works, you might be able to stand soon. Krazer watched her work. Her small human hands moved with great skill as she attached sensors to his lower body. He had learned that Linda was considered exceptional, even among humans. She had created neural devices that helped many injured humans regain movement. On Vicaria, you would be a great warrior, Krazer told her. Linda laughed. I don't think so. I've never even fired a weapon. Not with weapons, with mind. Best warriors are those who solve problems others cannot. She looked up at him, surprised. I thought Vicarians only valued physical strength in battle. That is part. But strategy, innovation, These make true elite warriors. Krazer moved his upper right arm to gesture at the equipment. You have warrior mind. Create solution where others see none. Linda smiled. Thank you. That might be the nicest thing anyone has said about my work. She finished connecting the devices to his legs. Ready to try? Krazer focused his thoughts on his right leg. At first, nothing happened. He concentrated harder, imagining the movement as Linda had taught him. Slowly, his foot twitched, then lifted slightly off the bed. It works. Linda checked the readings on her tablet. The signal is weaker than in your arms, but it's getting through. They practiced for hours. By the end of the day, Krazer could move both legs a little. It was far from walking, but it was progress. Alan came to visit that evening. He brought a data pad with him. I thought you might want to learn more about Earth, he said, showing Krazer how to use the device. Since you're staying with us, it might help to understand our world better. Krazer took the pad carefully with his upper arms. His grip was still not perfect, but he could hold objects now. Your people are strange, Krazer said as he looked through images of Earth. So many different types, different colors, sizes, beliefs. Yet you work together. Alan nodded. That's humanity. We're not perfect at it, but we try to see strength in our differences. Vicarians believe sameness is strength. One purpose, one way. Krazer looked at Alan. But now I see weakness in this thinking. Before Alan could respond, alarms began to sound throughout the base. Red lights flashed in the hallway. Commander Powell's voice came through the speakers. All personnel to alert stations. Vicarian ship. Approaching. This is not a drill. Alan stood quickly. I need to get to my post. They come for me, Krazer said. Your people are in danger because of me. Don't worry. The commander won't give you up. Alan hurried to the door. I'll come back when I can. Krazer was left alone with the sound of alarms. He looked at his legs and arms. They could move now, but not well enough to be useful. He was still trapped, still a burden to these humans who had helped him. An hour passed. Then Linda rushed into the room, pushing a large metal frame on wheels. We need to move you, she said, her face serious. The Vicarians are demanding we turn you over immediately. And your commander refused? Of course he refused. Linda began disconnecting Krazer from the medical monitors. But we need to get you to a more secure location. She helped him sit up, then brought the metal frame next to the bed. Krazer recognized it as a larger version of the walking aids. He had seen humans used during rehabilitation. This is an exosupport frame, Linda explained. It's not as good as the neural interface we're developing, but it can help you stand and move right now. With great effort and Linda's help, Krazer moved from the bed to the frame. His legs trembled as they took his weight for the first time. Since his injury, the metal frame supported him, keeping him from falling. Good, Linda said. Now, the frame will help you walk. Just think about moving forward, and the sensors will pick up the signals. Krazer concentrated, and the frame moved. It was clumsy and slow, but he was standing. He was moving. Take me to Commander Powell, he said. I must speak with him. Linda looked unsure, but nodded. She guided him through the halls of the outpost. People rushed past them, preparing for possible conflict with the Vicarian ship. Some stopped to stare at the sight of the massive alien warrior in the walking frame. They found Commander Powell in the command center. He was speaking to a screen that showed a Vicarian officer. Krazer recognized the markings of a fleet commander. Will not tolerate your interference, the Vicarian was saying. The warrior belongs to the Empire. He is under our protection as a refugee. Powell replied firmly. We don't return people to face persecution or death. This is not your concern, human. This is Vicarian matter. Krazer moved forward, the frame making mechanical sounds with each step. The Vicarian on the screen noticed him, and his eyes widened. "I wish to speak," Krazer said loudly. Commander Powell turned, surprised to see Krazer standing. He stepped aside to allow him to face the screen. The Vicarian commander looked at Krazer with disgust. "You dishonor yourself by accepting help from these primitives." "I live," Krazer replied. "The humans have restored what our people said could not be fixed. You were left behind. You are no longer Vicarian." Krazer raised all four of his arms, showing he could move them. "I am still Krazer, still warrior, but now I see new ways, new strengths. You speak nonsense. The humans have corrupted your mind." "No, they have opened it." Krazer moved closer to the screen. "I request formal separation from the Empire. I stay with humans by choice." The commander's face showed shock, then anger. "No warrior has ever left the Empire voluntarily. This is treason. This is evolution. We must adapt or die. Vicarians choose not to adapt. One choose differently." The commander was silent for a moment, then he spoke coldly. "You are declared dead to the Empire. But know this, the humans have made an enemy today. They will regret interfering in our ways." The screen went dark. The command center was quiet. Commander Powell looked at Krazer with new respect. "That was brave," he said. "But he's right about one thing. We may have started something we can't finish." Krazer turned his massive frame to face the human commander. "You saved one warrior. I will help you save many more." Linda stepped forward. "We should get you back to your room. You shouldn't strain yourself too much on your first day standing." As they left the command center, Alan joined them. He looked at Krazer in the walking frame with amazement. "You're standing," he said. "That's incredible progress." "Humans helped me stand," Krazer replied. "Now I must help humans stand against what is coming." That night, as Krazer rested in his room, he thought about the path ahead. He was no longer a Vicarian warrior. He was something new, something that had never existed before. Part Vicarian, part human technology, with a mind that was changing every day. The humans had a word for what he was becoming. They called it hope. A month passed since Krazer had faced his former commander. The human outpost was busy with new activity. More Earth Coalition ships arrived, bringing soldiers and weapons. They were preparing for possible Vicarian attacks. Krazer spent his days in a large room that Linda and her team had turned into a training area. The walking frame was gone now, replaced by a full-body exosuit built specially for his four-armed Vicarian form. The suit was connected to his neural interface, allowing him to move with growing strength and control. "Try the combat sequence." "Again," Linda said. She stood at the edge of the room with Alan and Commander Powell. Krazer nodded. He focused his mind, and the exosuit responded. He moved through a series of Vicarian battle forms, his four arms cutting through the air in precise movements. He was slower than before his injury, but each day brought improvement. "Remarkable," Commander Powell said as he watched. "A month ago he couldn't move, and now he's almost combat ready." Linda smiled proudly. "The neural connections are getting stronger. His brain is adapting to the new pathways." Alan stepped forward when Krazer finished the sequence. "How does it feel?" "Better," Krazer said. His translator now had settings that made his voice sound less mechanical. "Still not like before, but useful. More than useful," Commander Powell said. "Your knowledge of Vicarian tactics has already helped us prepare our defenses. But having you able to fight alongside us would be even better." Krazer looked at the commander. "You expect attack soon?" Powell nodded. "Our scouts report Vicarian ships gathering at the edge of this system. They seem to be waiting for something, possibly reinforcements." "Or new orders," Krazer suggested. Empire moves slowly with big decisions. War Council must approve full attack. The base alarm suddenly sounded. A voice came over the speakers. Unidentified ship approaching. All personnel to alert stations. Commander. Powell's radio crackled. Sir, you need to see this. It's a small Vicarian ship, but it's sending a civilian signal, not military. I'll be right there, Powell replied. He looked at Krazer. Would you join me? We might need your insight. Krazer followed the commander to the command center, moving smoothly in his exosuit. The main screen showed a small ship approaching. The outpost. It's a scout vessel, Krazer said. But the markings are wrong for military. These are... He paused, surprised by what he was seeing. These are scientist markings. Vicarian Research Division. Scientists? Powell looked confused. Why would they send scientists? The communications officer spoke up. Sir, they're requesting permission to land. They say they have information vital to both Vicarians and humans. Powell looked at Krazer. What do you think? Could it be a trick? Possible. But Research Division rarely involved in military matters. Krazer studied the ship on the screen. Something is not normal. Powell thought for a moment. Allow them to land, but on the outer pad. Full security protocols. When the Vicarian ship landed, soldiers surrounded it with weapons ready. The door opened slowly, and 3 Vicarians emerged. They wore the simple gray uniforms of the Research Division, not the armored suits of warriors. The leader of the group, a female Vicarian with lighter-colored scales, spoke first. I am Seltha, Senior Researcher of Neural Sciences. We come peacefully. To speak with the human called Linda Baker and... She paused, looking at the crowd of humans until she saw Krazer standing among them in his exosuit. And with Krazer, former battle leader, Commander Powell stepped forward. I'm Commander Steve Powell. This is my outpost. Why are you here? Selpha, we wish to learn, she replied simply. The Empire says Krazer walks again. Our medical science says this is impossible. We must see for ourselves. Krazer moved forward, the exosuit humming softly. I am here, Seltha. As you can see, I move. I function. The Vicarian scientists stared at him with wide eyes. One of them whispered to another in their native language. Impossible, Seltha. Sighed, switching to English. Your neural spine was severed. Our medicine cannot repair such damage. Humans found another way, Krazer said. Not repair, bypass. Linda had joined the group and now stepped forward. We created an external neural pathway using a brain-computer interface. It allows his brain signals to reach his limbs through our technology. Seltha looked at Linda with new interest. You are Baker, the creator of the system? Linda nodded. One of them, yes. It was a team effort. We must discuss this technology, Seltha said urgently. But first, you should know why we really came. She turned to Commander Powell. The War Council has approved an attack on this outpost. They will come in 3 days with a battle fleet. Murmurs spread through the crowd of humans. Powell's face grew serious. Why are you telling us this? Wouldn't that be treason against your empire? Perhaps, Seltha admitted. But the Research Division has long disagreed with warrior policies. The human way of helping the injured instead of abandoning them. This interests us greatly. If your technology can help Krazer, it could help many others. Krazer looked at the scientist with surprise. You would betray the Empire for this knowledge? Not betray, Seltha corrected. Evolve, as you have done. She turned back to Powell. We propose an exchange. We will share details of the coming attack. You will share your neural interface technology. Commander Powell thought for a moment. We need to discuss this privately. Please come with us. As they walked to the meeting room, Alan fell into step beside Krazer. What do you think? he asked. Quietly, can they be trusted? Research Division has always been different, Krazer replied. They value knowledge over Empire rules. But this is unusual even for them. In the meeting room, Powell, Linda, Alan, Krazer, and the three Vicarian scientists gathered around a table. Powell spoke first. Before we agree to anything, I need to know more. Why would scientists risk so much for this technology? Seltha looked at Krazer. Tell them what happens to injured Vicarians. Not just warriors, all of our people. Krazer's exosuit shifted as he straightened his posture. Those who cannot work or fight are ... removed. This is our way for thousands of years. Keeps population strong. It's barbaric, Linda said. It is inefficient, Seltha corrected. Many brilliant minds lost because of physical damage. Research Division has argued against this practice for generations. Now we have proof of an alternative. She gestured to Krazer. He is that proof. Commander Powell leaned forward. So you want our technology to help your injured? Yes, and in return, we offer information that may save your outpost. The attack fleet will have 20 ships, including 2 destroyer class. They will approach from the third moon to hide their energy signatures. Powell looked at Krazer. Could we survive such an attack? Not without more ships and weapons, Krazer said honestly. But with this information, you have time to call for help from Earth and to prepare. Linda spoke up. I'm willing to share our research. This technology should help people, regardless of species. Powell nodded slowly. I agree, but I want something more. He looked at Seltha. When this is over, if we survive, I want formal recognition of Krazer's right to asylum and a channel for other Vicarians who might seek the same. Seltha's eyes widened. That would be unprecedented. So is this alliance, Powell replied. New times require new agreements. The Vicarian scientist looked at her colleagues, who nodded slightly. Then she extended her upper right arm to Powell. In a Vicarian gesture of agreement, we will try. Research Division has some influence in the Empire. As the humans and Vicarians began sharing information, Krazer watched in amazement. His injury had started something none of them could have predicted. A small crack in the rigid Vicarian society. A new connection between species. For the first time, he felt truly grateful for the day Alan had found him on the battlefield. 3 days passed quickly. The human outpost buzzed with activity as everyone prepared for the coming Vicarian attack. Earth Coalition had sent reinforcements, but not enough to match a full Vicarian battle fleet. Krazer stood on the command center's observation deck, watching the stars. His exosuit had been upgraded again. Now it was stronger, faster, and covered with light armor plates. Linda and Seltha had worked together to improve it, combining human neural interface technology with Vicarian materials. There you are, Alan said, joining him by the window. Commander Powell is looking for you. The defense meeting starts soon. Krazer turned. I was thinking about what happens after this battle. Let's focus on surviving it first, Alan said, with a small smile. I have fought in many battles, Krazer said, but always for Empire, never for ... friends. Alan looked surprised. Is that what we are? Friends? You found me dying, gave me life again. What else would you call this? Alan nodded. Friends, then? And friends stand together. They walked to the main meeting room, where Commander Powell, Linda, Seltha, and the outpost's military officers gathered around a large table. A holographic map showed the outpost and surrounding space. Our scouts report the Vicarian fleet will arrive in 6 hours, Powell said. Thanks to Seltha's information, we know they'll approach from behind the third moon. We've positioned our ships accordingly. A female officer pointed to areas on the map. We've set up energy disruption fields here and here. They should slow down their smaller ships. But the destroyers will still get through. What about evacuation? Linda asked. The medical staff and research team? The last transport leaves. In 2 hours, Powell replied. I want all non-essential personnel on it. That includes you, Linda. She shook her head. I'm staying. If anyone gets hurt, they'll need me. Besides, someone needs to monitor Crazer's neural interface during the battle. Selfa stepped forward. My team has prepared something that may help. She placed a small device on the table. This contains a message from the research division to the fleet commander. It formally requests a research claim on this outpost and all personnel. Under Vicarian law, this could force them to delay their attack until the claim is reviewed. Will it work? Powell asked. Possibly. It would be unusual for a fleet commander to ignore a formal research claim. But these are unusual times. Crazer moved closer to the map. The commander will split his forces. Main attack here. He pointed with his upper right arm. Smaller ships will circle to cut off escape routes. Standard Vicarian tactics. Then we'll focus our defenses here, Powell said, indicating the area Crazer had pointed to, and keep a reserve force to deal with the flanking ships. As the meeting continued, Crazer studied the faces around him. Humans and Vicarians working together, planning together. It was something he would have thought impossible just months ago. Hours later, alarms sounded throughout the outpost. The Vicarian fleet had been detected entering the system. All personnel to battle stations. Powell's voice announced over the speakers. This is not a drill. Crazer stood in the command center with Powell, Allen, and Salfa. The main screen showed the approaching Vicarian ships, moving exactly as Crazer had predicted. They're hailing us, the communications officer said. Put them through, Powell ordered. The screen changed to show a Vicarian commander with battle-scarred scales and cold eyes. Crazer recognized him immediately. Commander Vexcor, Crazer said. He is known for his strict adherence to Empire rules. Vexcor spoke, his voice harsh through the translator. Earth Coalition Outpost. You have interfered in Vicarian affairs and harbored a defector. Surrender him and all Vicarian research personnel immediately. Powell stepped forward. This outpost is under Earth Coalition protection. We have also received a formal research claim from the Vicarian Research Division. He nodded to Selfa, who transmitted the claim to the Vicarian fleet. Vexcor's eyes narrowed as he received the message. This claim is irregular. It will be denied. But it must be reviewed before you can attack, Salfa said, stepping into view. That is Empire law. Laws can be set aside in matters of Empire security, Vexcor replied coldly. You have 1 hour to surrender the defector and the scientists. Then we attack. The screen went dark. Powell turned to the others. So much for the legal approach. Prepare all defenses. Salfa looked worried. He should not be able to ignore a research claim. This is against our most basic laws. The Empire is changing, Crazer said. They fear what we represent more than they respect their own rules. Powell looked at Crazer. What would you suggest? You know their tactics better than anyone. Crazer thought for a moment. Vexcor expects easy victory. He does not know I can fight again. We must surprise him. How? Allen asked. Let me speak to him again. Let me show him what humans have done for me. Some warriors in his fleet served with me. They may listen. Powell considered this. It's worth trying. But we'll continue preparing our defenses. An hour later, as the Vicarian fleet moved into attack formation, Crazer stood ready. His exosuit was fully powered, its systems integrated with his neural interface. Linda and Salfa had made final adjustments to ensure it would function during battle. Open a channel to Commander Vexcor. Powell ordered. When the Vicarian commander appeared on screen, Krazer stepped forward. He stood tall, all four arms moving smoothly as he performed. A traditional Vicarian warrior's salute. "Vexcor, once my battle brother," Krazer said. "Look at me. See what the humans have done." Vexcor's eyes widened slightly. "An artificial body. This changes nothing. You are still broken, still a disgrace." "I am changed, not broken," Krazer replied. "The humans found strength where our people saw only weakness. They heal instead of discard. They build instead of destroy." He turned to the side, demonstrating his mobility in the exosuit. This technology could help many injured Vicarians. Warriors who could serve again. Is that not worth more than blind? Obedience to old ways? Vexcor was silent for a moment. Then he spoke, but his voice seemed less certain. "The War Council has ordered your destruction. The human technology must not spread to our people." "Why?" Krazer demanded. "Because it would change us? Change is not death, Vexcor. Refusal to adapt, that is true death." Krazer could see confusion on some of the Vicarian faces visible behind Vexcor on the bridge of his ship. His words were having an effect. "Warriors of the fleet," Krazer said, addressing all Vicarians who might be watching. "I was left. Die because I could not move. Now I stand before you. The humans did this. Ask yourselves, what else might they help us achieve?" Suddenly, another Vicarian ship moved out of formation. It positioned itself between the human outpost and Vexcor's destroyer. "What is this?" Vexcor demanded. A new voice came through the communication system. "Commander, this is Captain Reltic. I stand with Krazer and the research division. I lost my brother to spinal damage last cycle. He could have lived with this human technology." Another ship moved, then another. 5 Vicarian vessels now stood apart from the main fleet. Vexcor's face showed rage. "This is mutiny. This is evolution," Krazer said. "As I told you it be." The command center was silent as everyone watched the Vicarian fleet. More ships were moving out of attack formation, taking positions that indicated they would not fight. Finally, Vexcor spoke. "This matter will be taken to the High Council. The research division's claim will be heard." His eyes burned with anger as he looked at Krazer. "But this is not finished." The screen went dark. Outside, the Vicarian fleet began to pull back. "Commander." Powell let out a breath. "Is it over?" "Not over," Krazer said, "but beginning. Beginning of change." Allen clapped him on his armored shoulder. "You did it. You stopped a war." "Humans stopped war," Krazer corrected, "by showing better way." Linda and Sulfa joined them, both smiling in their different ways. "The neural interface project will continue," Sulfa said. "The research division now has support from ship captains. The High Council must listen." Krazer looked out at the stars where the Vicarian ships were retreating. For the first time, he felt something that had no name in the Vicarian language. But humans called it pride. Not pride in victory, but pride in preventing unnecessary death. Pride in building something new. "What will you do now?" Allen asked him. "Stay here," Krazer said without hesitation. "Help others like me. Show Vicarians and humans can work together, learn from each other." He moved his 4 arms in a fluid motion, feeling the exosuit respond perfectly to his thoughts. Once he had been a warrior who measured his worth in battles won and enemies killed. Now he was something new, a bridge between worlds, between old ways and new possibilities. He had been left behind to die. Instead, he had found a new way to live.